Welcome all to Off the Cuff with Namrita, and today is a very important show. I'll say we will be talking about health and fitness. So listen up, all of you. And I have a wonderful guest here with me today, Saujanya Vemuri. Welcome to Off the Cuff.
Thank you, Namrita.
My pleasure. A little bit about her. Saujanya is a metabolic health advocate and strategist, a best selling author, international speaker, and a trailblazing leader at the intersection of technology and health, with over 2 decades of experience creating innovative products at top tech companies like Amazon, Disney, Microsoft, and Intel. She now devotes her career to helping South Asians live longer and healthier lives. She is a certified nutritionist. She is a trained yoga and trapeze yoga teacher, as well as a personal trainer, focusing on functional training and mobility, and is also a devoted practitioner of the art of living. So, this is a little bit about her. So, Sarjanya, tell me, first of all, you're looking fabulous.
Appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Tell me about how you got into the health and fitness industry after working in the tech industry for so long.
Yeah. So, my journey, thank you, Namrita, for that question. So, my journey into health and wellness actually began, decades ago,
Mm.
two decades ago, when I came to this country, United States, and I was for the very first time I got a taste of fitness and things that I wasn't very familiar with as in the context of how I grew up.
Mm.
Um, so that got me curious about wellness and fitness specifically, but I think I was pretty myopic in my view of health at that point, really thinking of fitness as, and the most important pillar of health. Not saying it is not, but in my worldview, that was the only pillar that really mattered. That said, for me, the turning point really was when, with the loss of my dad, basically, when my dad passed away. That was um, let's just say that changed the trajectory of my life. And the reason for that is, to me, I perceived my dad, to all of us, it was a surprise when my dad passed away. It was, we perceived him as healthy. He was a thin individual. He's never been to the hospital. He's never been on any medication. His labs didn't show anything, and any red flags. No doctors were telling us anything about what could potentially be wrong with him.
Mm.
And here we are in Hawaii, in Kauai specifically, on a very beautiful hike, and my dad is here one moment and the next moment he's gone. It just happened like that. And in that moment, that moment honestly made me question everything I know about health, about science, about medicine, so to speak, right? And um, I went down a path of trying to get answers to questions that I had. I think his death left me with a lot of unanswered questions. And I rabbit hole down, the cause of his death. And I discovered this whole new world of insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome,
Mm.
and it became apparent to me that my understanding of disease is my understanding was of disease up until then was these, think of diabetes as the as a as one iceberg in the ocean, cardiovascular the other one, PCOS another, and Alzheimer's another. But then I realized that when you look under the surface,
Mm.
they all have something in common,
Mm.
right? They actually have very many things in common. And
Mm.
I don't think we've been viewing, diseases and chronic conditions like that. And this is where sort of the aha moment of how metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance, uh, you know, um, started, to my understanding, becoming
Yeah.
um, you know, um, the the drivers of some of these serious chronic conditions. And the more I knew about it, the more I realized that, what happened to my dad is not limited to him alone. It's not an isolated event. This is scaled beyond him, my family, my community, my country, and in fact globally.
Yes.
So today, as we speak, more than 40% of all adults globally are suffering from metabolic syndrome.
Oh,
And and tragically, South Asians, where I come from, the South Asian community, we are above global average and above even the US average when it comes to the metabolic syndrome rates in adults, which is in the upward of, between 40 to 50%. And so what that means is one in every two people have the metabolic syndrome, right? So knowing this, I knew I needed to do something about it, and that set me down this path of seeking metabolic health science from the Noakes Foundation, the Nutrition Network, and Society of Metabolic Health Professionals, which is the metabolic health scientific platform based out of South Africa. So I've been getting trained there for the past several years, and I've been working with people, especially in the South Asian community, to help prevent and manage, chronic conditions and diseases, specifically in the space of prediabetes, diabetes, PCOS, fatty liver. One of my recent patients is also a liver cirrhosis patient. So, and I think, and that's where my journey began, and that's where I am today.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing, and I deeply sorry, for your dad passing away. Must be a very difficult phase, I'm sure. But you've come out so strong and so positive, and you've come out helping other people. So, kudos to you and congratulations to you on doing what you're doing. So, my next, you're talking about, trying to change health habits in South Asians, and we all know that South Asian Indians are predisposed to, type 2 diabetes and heart problems also. So, can you explain a little bit about, insulin resistance and metabolic, syndrome that you just talked about?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to caveat firstly by saying that, insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, these are very complex conditions, right?
Okay.
So we don't have time to go into the physiology of it, but I'll do my best to simplify it. So, we have a better understanding of why it's happening to some extent, right? So the way I'd like to explain it is, maybe I start with really defining what metabolic health is, so we are all, aligned on that. So I like to explain metabolic health in the lieu of two concepts, and one is the metabolic syndrome, and the other is metabolic flexibility. And why I want to take these two concepts is the underlying driver for both of these is insulin resistance. So let's first touch upon these two, and then we'll define what resistance is. So metabolic syndrome is essentially a how do I put it, a combination of 4 highs and 1 low in our body. So what are the 4 highs? It is high waist circumference, okay, high blood pressure, high fasting glucose, high triglycerides, and low HDL. Okay. So if an individual has 3 out of the 5, then the doctor is going to tell you have metabolic syndrome. And this is what I was saying, when you look down under the surface of these iceberg tips, when you look at this bigger rock which is connecting all of them, you will see that these 5 are in some form or fashion, a common ground across all chronic conditions. Okay. So that's metabolic syndrome. And metabolic and each of them mean different things, right? Like, for example, the high waist circumference really evokes this idea that we store fat in the abdominal cavity viscerally, which can more readily be pathological as compared to fat that we would store under the skin subcutaneously, right? So the waist circumference starts giving you these early indicators of whether you're heading down a path of trouble, so to speak, right? Similarly, high triglycerides and HDL are really to some at a high level, really speak to how your liver is functioning, right? High triglycerides is really nothing but, excess energy in the form of carbohydrates converted to fat. So you can see how there's an overnutrition aspect there, and things like that. We don't need to get into the details, but then shifting gears into metabolic health, metabolic inflexibility. This is, evolutionarily, as humans, we went through these cycles of famine and feast, right? So when we had food, we feasted, during which the body, broke down the energy that we ate as active energy and used it for bodily functions and for us to live. And then when we didn't get food during the, famine time, we had a second source of energy to tap into, which is the fat reserves. And mind you, all of us, we have like, even the leanest human has like 100,000 or 200,000 calories of fat stored in them, right? But there's only so many calories we can eat, you see. So the fat storage is really a survival mechanism, and we had the ability to tap into it when we didn't get food. And until we got food the next time, we were able to live off of that. But now fast forward modern day, we how many times do we eat? We are always hungry. In spite of that, we are fatigued. There's chronic fatigue and excessive hunger.
Yes.
And then you're like, what happened? It is this inflexibility to switch between using glucose as your active energy and back to fat when you're not eating. When you have this inflexibility, you say that you're metabolically inflexible. And then this is where the question arises, why is this happening? Why are people, having the metabolic syndrome conditions, and what makes them always hungry yet always fatigued? They're not able to tap into their fat reserves. You see this in the form of weight gain, many things, right? And this is where insulin resistance comes from. And so, shedding light on what insulin resistance is. Insulin resistance, think of it as the analogy I'll use is a coin. So one side of insulin resistance is where some cells in our body are resisting insulin signal. Okay, I'll explain that. They are resisting insulin signal. They have turned a deaf ear to insulin. Okay, and just to put things in context, what is insulin? Insulin is essentially an anabolic hormone, right? So it helps build, grow, store. And one of its more famous jobs, it does many amazing things in the body. One of the most famous things it does is it takes glucose from the bloodstream and uptakes it into the cell. So it puts it into the cell. So, your body can stay in, a glucose regulated state. So body is trying to seek homeostasis, right? Glucose homeostasis. So that's what insulin does. Now, in an insulin resistant state, what's happening is, let's actually walk through a scenario here. So say, Namrita, you have eaten a piece of roti, or you've eaten some food, right? So if that food contains glucose, right, your brain is going to tell your pancreas, Namrita has eaten glucose or sugar, and sugar is coming in, deploy insulin so that it can take all the excess sugar and put it in the cell. So the pancreas releases insulin comes to duty, it takes the glucose, puts it in the cell. At any point in time, your bloodstream can only carry 5 grams of sugar, which is what? 1 teaspoon. Anything excess of that has to be stored away.
Stored somewhere.
Right? So that's where in a healthy body, if everything's working fine, this is what's happening, right? When the food comes in, insulin comes out, plugs the glucose in, it goes back, and the sugar is either oxidized, use that active energy, and then insulin levels go down. You wait for your next meal. The same process repeats. It's this beautiful ebb and flow, right?
Yes.
But in an insulin resistant body, what's happening is, um, you eat food, and actually, no, in an insulin resistant body, what's happening is there is, every time there's glucose in the bloodstream and insulin is deployed, some of the cells are going to say, I'm sorry, insulin, I'm not going to open the door for you.
Yeah.
Okay, because you've been knocking on my door way too often.
Okay.
If you knock on my door every moment, waking moment of the day, I'm not going to open the door for you. This is like, in biology, or
Yeah.
honestly across life, when one signal becomes excessive, there is too much of one signal, what happens? The organism starts resisting that signal,
Right. Right.
right? You're a mother, right, Namrita?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So you can appreciate that, in the beginning when your children said, mommy, 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 you paid attention. But after it's like, mommy, 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 you're like, you're tone deaf to that.
Yes.
You're like, dude,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know what I mean? So you're
I got it.
resistant,
Well, I know.
right?
So.
So that's the same thing when there is always excess glucose in your bloodstream, and insulin has to constantly knock on the cell's door to put that in. Some cells start resisting it.
Hmm.
Okay.
So this was a
And
very good way that
yeah.
you explained it. I appreciate it, but I'm looking at the time because we don't.
Oh yeah.
I want to manage, this
Yeah.
time and ask you some other questions also, because I would love
Yeah.
for the audience to know that where they can find you and what services you provide for them. So I think we should take that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'll actually just close out on the previous one, Namrita.
Okay.
Just one last sentence is, as a result of this, you end up having high insulin in your
Yes.
bloodstream,
Mm,
right? And chronic elevated high insulin is driving, systemic failures, right?
mm,
From a neuropsychiatric perspective, say Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, migraines, from a gastrointestinal type 2 diabetes, from a skeletal muscle perspective, osteoporosis, basically every system in the body. So I just want to put it out there that
mm.
just high glucose is not the problem. High insulin is also a huge
Also,
problem,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Mm.
Now, to answer your question, so people can find me at my website, www.saujanyavemuri.com.
Okay.
And, I'll also plug in my social media handles for you. Your first question is around the program. So um, I work with people, either through a 3-month tenure or a 6-month tenure, and they're welcome to, continue working with me on a monthly subscription after that, which is what a lot of my clients actually do. So during these 3 months, I mean, the process we follow is we start off with a clinical assessment of their labs, right? A behavioral assessment, screening for any, addiction or unhealthy, addiction behaviors, movement assessment, cardiorespiratory fitness assessment. So we essentially do a holistic sort of assessment of where they are. And then, I prepare a plan, which again, here I sort of bring in sort of the product thinking frameworks in place where, we really experiment in a 2-week sprint, right? We introduce an intervention, see how that works, we learn from it, then we add on, and modify. So we take this sort of highly bio-individualized plan, but sprint over sprint over sprint. So, we are learning about our bodies together,
Mm,
right? And wherever possible, we measure what we can in terms of either body composition using a CGM if available, things like that.
mm,
And the whole process really is not that it is a one-time program you do, lose fat and forget about it, right? It's not that. It's meant to essentially teach you the science, give you sustainable tips and practical strategies to live this. This is a lifestyle change,
yeah.
right? This is not a diet program. This is a lifestyle change. And it includes we've taken elements of improving your gut biome to your autonomic nervous system to your insulin resistance to your sleep, and your cardiorespiratory fitness. So it's pretty kind of comprehensive in that sense, because just all of them have to work together for you to really see results, right? And it is holistic. Honestly, it sounds cliched, but it is 100% true. And this is coming from me, who went all in on fitness, and
Yeah.
I crashed. I was in the hospital for like 3 months. So
Oh,
I trust me when I say
oh.
that,
Hmm.
everything has a very different impact on driving insulin sensitivity.
Oh.
Exercise comes with a different angle, sleep comes with a different angle, stress comes with a different angle, food comes with a different angle. So it's about how do you live an insulin sensitizing life,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
in that process, everything falls in place. Your fat loss is taken care of, because evolution is not an idiot,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
didn't want our bodies to be sick
Yeah.
all the
It's
time.
not just one thing. You need to take care of it, from the root of it.
From
And
the root.
yeah, yeah. And, work through that. And yeah, I know, but this is wonderful. Anyway, talking to you. So, one more thing is you were talking about the book also. You are going to have a new book coming out. Would you like to
Yeah,
share that with us?
yeah. Thank you for asking about it. So this book is my attempt to to really speak the language of corporate culture, and what we tech leaders in the tech
Mm,
community
mm,
are used to, right? In the sense that it takes a leadership principle, or it uses leadership principles that are used in the corporate world to potentially challenge your own mindset about health. For
mm,
example, you have a growth mindset at work. In fact, you have to demonstrate that to get promoted. Are you showing a growth mindset when it comes to your health? I'll ask you, right? Are you showing bias for action? Are you showing think big? Do you know at 90 or whatever, do you know what your North Star vision for your health is, right? As a leader, you're constantly choosing at work. For health, are you choosing, or are you just defaulting? Where are you? Like, are you bringing those similar leadership principles in how you manage health, right?
mm,
You're so it's that's one angle to it. And I think the second angle, the tactics of it, is what you use to build products, or build tech products, or any engineer product marketing. Anyone in the tech space will appreciate that there are some basic frameworks they use, right? Like KPIs and data driven and experiment and iterate and incrementality. You literally, those skill sets are super transferable to how you manage health. No different. No different.
mm,
Health is not about boiling the ocean all at once. It is also iterative. It is also incremental. It's also experimentative. It's
mm,
also being learning, and it's also about being curious. It's about saying, I don't know. Let me not jump to a conclusion. Let me find out more. So this book is a call to action for everyone to bring all those transferable skill sets that you have grown and you demonstrate 9 to 5 daily at work, to bring it to your health and build a great health stack.
mm.
And also it calls for an intergenerational view of health.
Okay. And
Let's not
what's
only,
the name
yeah.
of the book?
uh, that's still TBD.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
So,
debating a few names here,
okay.
but
Sure,
yeah,
sure. And
but it's
people
something
can
that
find it on Amazon and your obviously your website and everything.
yes, yes.
Oh,
So I'm looking for us to publish it in the next 6 weeks.
mm,
So yeah, it'll
wonderful.
be on Amazon and it'll be on my
Okay.
website. Yes.
So, that's what Saujanya does, intersecting health and tech together, and, having a different approach as far as your health is concerned. And yeah, definitely get the book whenever it's ready to buy. And one last question, I know we are running out of time, is that,
Yeah.
what would you tell your 20-year-old self, knowing what you know now today?
I'd say nutrient density over calories,
Hmm.
strong over thin, strong over thin. More exercise does not mean better.
Okay.
And do not fear fat.
Okay.
Do not fear fat.
Thank you.
Cholesterol is the
That
manipulating
makes me
your
feel
life.
good.
Yeah.
Some myths that you're breaking here, but coming from you, you'll know. Okay. Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of myths around, around health and how you approach it. So, whatever short time we had, so Jenny, I think we can have another 3 hour of session. But unfortunately, maybe you can come back again. And but all I'd say, do reach out to Saujanya Vemuri on her website, saujanyavemuri.com, and yeah, just have a conversation with her. And if you need her services, please reach out to her. Thank you, Sajanya, for giving me so much of your time, and talking so much in detail. So appreciate that.
Appreciate the opportunity, Namrita. Take
My
care
You too.
and be well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.